All right. Check, check, check. I think we got an audio check there. Is that coming through? It's showing there. And I've got a little bit of a video here. It's a little grainy, but if we've got audio and it's rolling, then hey, I can't be one to really complain. Um, Happy New Year, everyone. Although it certainly was a dark passage into the new year, to say the very least. I wasn't really even aware of what they call a black new moon. That's two new moons in 1 month. Until my daughter Raquel actually had mentioned it to me because she had looked it up. I don't know how she came across that because I've never heard of it. But that was right the 30th, the 31st, and then the chaos that unfolded from domestic situations. I don't want to sound like I'm just trying to be cool with the algorithms. I don't want to sound like the FBI at Oppressor saying it's an event. We had an event at Bourbon Street. We had a little more than an event, special agent, but right? My God. I mean, there's a real argument there for why we need to be putting people into places of power on their merit and not on identity politics or any other weirdness there. But I did want to briefly talk about just a couple of things there that we had are the previous two videos. Actually, it was we saw trouble. We saw a bad moon rising. I wonder if we could play that. Let me see if I can show something here. Of course, that I don't know if it'll copy strike it or not. My it's an interesting rendition of a bad moon rising. But it's so abstract that I don't even think it would trigger it. The main thing is that last time I tried to share the screen, is that it really didn't work very well. But I can try here. So. You can hear that. Boom. Rise. Right? I mean, wow. That's. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if the audio was working. It did have one little button that said, "Do you want to include the audio?" I noticed on the last one, if just briefly, it's a new little mini laptop, and it's like a car. I don't know if you understand, like when there's a clutch, there's a different clutch in the car. They all have brakes, have a weird, you don't want to do herky jerky. You got to get it all smooth, right? Get all buttery. And it's with a new computer and trying to get it to kind of work in with the apps. StreamYard is still, I really prefer StreamYard, but It's still not working right with this new laptop. I can get it to work on the phone, the new Pixel, the old Pixel. It's just I got to get a new phone now. It still works, but the screen got all chipped up and messed up, and it was really unfortunate. But the point is, or what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't do the StreamYard the way I want it to, with multiple screens and being able to share. So these are all kind of like experiments, if you will, the editing. Um, but the power of intuition, the power of alignment, spiritual synchronicities. I guess Carl Jung, kind of spiritual synchronicities that you believe that we're connected to a cosmic unconscious, a cosmic energy that is beyond time, much like a wormhole, which the painting behind me kind of reminds me of, kind of like a wormhole, if you will, or a black hole, which is time travel, right? Well, I assume if, where matter is meeting antimatter. So I talked about this briefly. So we did that video, and we were really spot on about a lot of things. So with coincidences, it's like for me, when I'm having visuals and things are coming together, coming through, like in random clips, it's not really like a movie. It's more of like just different feelings. Like it sounds so cheesy to even say that, but it's way that is, and that a lot of times it doesn't even make sense when you say, what's the natural catastrophe happening? Is it going to be an airplane? Is it going to be a train? Is there a bridge issue? Well, all of those things have happened in the last few days following that last week of the video. We had multiple airplanes, multiple mass fatalities. I'm not saying we predicted that. I'm saying that being in alignment, those type of things that are on the horizon, if you're looking carefully and open to see it, you have to be open to see. And anybody can have that. Anybody can have, it's not some special thing. You don't get it from a college degree, right? I mean, come on now. I mean, it's one of those things where I think that it is, once you get aligned right with your maker, the creator, a god, if you will, the spirit world, uh, cosmic unconscious is a part of that spiritual world. A lot of people get really freaked out about astrology. They think it's the occult and it's the black arts, and somehow you're with Satan and you couldn't possibly be from God. Well, I would argue that all things, as stated in Genesis, all things have been created by God. Everything, including the devil himself. Where did the devil come from? Did you forget? God created Lucifer, Satan, God. And then he took, as he was cast out of heaven, did you forget your Bible? Open your Bible and scripture and prove us wrong. See? He took a third of the angels out of heaven. Even what you profess to be the dark side came from God Almighty, the Creator. Praise God. So don't lecture me. Go into your closet and pray outside of the cameras. Don't lecture me about astrology being the black occult, when God made all things, including the stars, including the interplanetary galaxies. Okay. So now I will give you a little wiggle room. There is some danger zone of fully engaging and accepting dark spiritual identities and witchcraft, which I do not believe in. And I do not advise that for anyone, because you have to be very careful what you surround yourself with. It will affect you. And generally speaking, with matters of witchcraft and sorcery and darkness. I don't associate that with the interplanetary and the astro. Now, a lot of the astrology is just kind of fluff, but what I'm trying to fine tune for myself is these type of patterns. It's really patterns more than anything. I mean, the psychic intuition, we all have intuition. Women tend to have it more, usually, generally speaking, than the men, but the disconnect with so much feminine energy is completely disconnected in modern times, unfortunate, that it can be really anybody that is, meditating, fixating, praying, kind of just open to receiving some of this stuff. So, and you can see things coming like a bad moon rising, like December 31st. So God be with those 15 massacred people along Bourbon Street. Um, it appears to be an insider who joined the outsiders, if you believe this. And there's a whole lot to this Fort Bragg. We see Ryan Ruth, the Ukraine Nazi recruiter from this Fort Bragg, right? They've renamed it Fort Liberty. Ironic, but it's a known psychological warfare, just as Stanford is known for having MK Ultra, just like Harvard is known for having MK Ultra programs and producing the Unabomber and some other serious players. So all of that evidence is there, and so I guess I digress a little bit on that. But that's what the new moon, as we made a video about what that game was. I had no idea that it was going to be multiple acts with an agenda of creating hysteria and panic, carnage. I kept hearing the word carnage playing out in the media. Carnage, and it was carnage. I mean, it's a very sick individual that wishes that upon anyone, women and children and innocent bystanders, celebrating the New Year's, which should be a positive moment, a positive spin, but yet darkness reared its ugly little head and devoured like a dragon out of the abyss, devoured our children of all ages, other people's children of all ages. Very, very tragic. And I definitely did not see that clearly. And that was not in the stars, but the trouble was. And also the Christmas Eve trouble and the statements that we made about Christmas Eve as well. And, don't want to get into a lot of it. I don't like saying, "Oh, wow, hey, look at this. We got all this right." And that's not really what it's about. But at the same time, it's why should we not talk about and reflect on what we could see with the patterns? The patterns, for example, of a new moon, meaning two new moons in 1 month. So there's what's called a blue moon. The blue moon is the opposite. That's two full moons that happen to align on the 1 month. And what's interesting there is that I have to keep reminding myself is that it only happened on the West Coast because it was technically the first. It was January 1st for the East Coast when this void of course happened, which the moon was in a weird wobble. But this new moon was affecting, the void, of course, that was definitely. And so what I was sensing was the void, of course, coming out of that new moon, the dark bad moon rising, which the new moon, it doesn't always have to be negative, but the new moon can be just as powerful as the full moon is affecting people's psyche. We've also been under a tremendous amount of electromagnetic energy from the sun, CMEs, plasmas, and filaments, and massive. You could see the auroras that are gorgeous, but that is doing things to people's brains. it's a kind of a running hypothesis of mine that this electromagnetic energy is we're mostly of water. We our nerves are conducting electromagnetic signals, right? So there's a connection there. There's definitely a paper to be written. It's if not a small book, really. Somebody could really knock it out. And I've got a couple book ideas, but that's not one of them. And I don't want to release my. It's a simple thing, and once you hear it, you'll be like, oh, well, yeah, that's a simple good thing. But it's been on my mind for so long. It's like I got to get that out. I got to type it. So. The reflection of intuition and how that can help us be safe by not going out or whatever. I don't get out and party like I used to, anyways, but I sure used to. I mean, we were a social butterfly. Portland is that way. If you get into like Southeast kind of like clubs and mostly like small little bars and things, you know the owner, you know the staff, you're dating the bartender. I mean, that's happened to me a couple of times. It's really easy to fall in love with a bartender in Portland. So heads up, beware of that. The bartenders are lurking at every corner to just gobble you up. It's a wonderful time, but heads up. So I saw Alex Jones, Brother Jones, on InfoWars, and I've been pitching data. I don't know if anything directly with him, but Chase, and I post things on X about these studies. There was a Chinese study on the H3 variety of bird flu that's circulating all over China. And I don't have that one in front of me, but I can definitely tack it on because, well, it's on my phone. I should be able to add it on the phone. It's an interesting one. My theory is without reading any data from blood panels, which is what needs to be happening. But if the H3, so they're saying H1N5, these bird flus, and people don't realize that there's like dozens of different variables of this. And they always seem to focus on one. Well, why? There's a whole bunch of these other. And now we got a study that came out in December, recent new study, last month, recent, out of China that's talking about this H3 and it's all over. Well, some sort of mutated virus, influenza, bird flu, avian flu, really, Peter McCullough calls it duck flu, because it's much more appropriate because it's the waterfowl. It's the wild fowl that is carrying that from pond to pond across the country. The migrating birds coming up from the South America, Mexico, up into, during the summer, they bring these different circulating type of viral loads. And that's a known that there's no mystery there. There's no conspiracy. Well, with all of this mRNA, with this lipid nanoparticles, this little jacket, it's like a little metal jacket. And with this, it's genetic code. It's synthesized genes, synthesized RNA. And they're using that for the platform in everything now, from what I understand. So they're shooting this into the livestock, into your beef supplies, into your chicken supplies. And then you've got it. So that is going to create viral mutations, just like we see with COVID. I don't know if you're aware of this. It just seems like people don't want to talk about COVID anymore. But COVID never went away. It's not gone. It would never left. In fact, the middle of the summer, we had a massive, huge spike in illnesses and death from COVID-related variants in the middle of summer. We've never been having those type of things before this. I'm going to call it a bioweapon, COVID. Okay. So that changed everything. The sun, the greatest disinfectant. It sterilizes everything. It sterilizes stuff that's around us. It minimizes. I mean, this is all right. I mean, you guys all know this shit, right? I mean, maybe somebody doesn't. I don't think so. I mean, you know that much. But what we probably don't know as much about is this mRNA platform. It transmission is very high from contact. In fact, the Pfizer studies, when they released, saying warnings to their test subjects that not to your lovers, your partners, not interact with them because it was spreading and they would get ill. They would get this spike protein. It's a spike protein. So the spike protein can happen not only in little nasal sneeze molecules, but with this mRNA souped up viral loads. We've noticed it with chickens and all these other, this antibody dependent enhancement, this ADE that comes with this over jabs, over type of stuff. The program, I think that word triggers an algorithm, the VAX1. This is probably going to get pulled no matter what, but I'm not giving any medical advice. I mean, just a full disclaimer to see if I can't salvage the video. I'm not a doctor. I never said I was a doctor. I'm not giving any medical advice. This is just simply analysis. I'm analyzing data that we're reading from different studies. And it's pretty clear. If you go on cdc.gov, this is the government's website, they will tell you that there is a huge bloom of this new variant of COVID, which is X something, XCE or X. There's like all these little subvariants of the X variant. It's totally unhinged, people. It's far worse than we can imagine. And I'm not trying to be a fearmonger because I know that is scary. And I am definitely a little nervous about it because its potential is far greater than what we saw with 2020 because we have so many different variants of so many different multiple viral loads all at once. The RSV. If you remember the video that I just did, it should still be there unless it got pulled. We did a little video where I was just rambling and doing what I do best, just rambling on. And they stopped the RSV jab trials of the mRNA platform. Again, they're putting this in all of the jabs. Why? It's not what we want. It's not a good thing. We've got serious adverse effects. It's going into, why is it not good? Why is it not good? It's going into every cell of the body, into the organs, into the liver. We're seeing it in the ovaries. We're seeing it attacking the gonads, and the testosterone is dropping, bottoming out for already low T in our population, attacking the ovaries and the testes and the gonads. That almost feels like a sterilization program to me. I mean, almost it is. Whether that's an intentional or unintended consequence side effect, it's happening. And anybody that knows that, which most people, I'm just a painter here, huffing paint thinner and oil paint, right? And doing a lot of thinking. And I do follow tremendous amount of high information consumer. And I read all the studies and everything anybody in any country produces. So I backpedal a little bit. But my point is that if this oil paintbrush guy knows, then they know when they're in the business. They know damn well. This when this Dr. Wynn came out with this panic last week talking about everyone's got to get this mRNA platform of a bird flu variant. Why? Why? The RSV mRNA platform of RSV was stopped. It was paused because the babies were getting sick. Enough of the babies were sick. One of them had to be cut and put on a ventilator. That's not good for adults. Sure, the hell ain't good for any youngster. No, not good. So this was it's a transmission and it's amplifying and it's not creating immunity. It's was comes from gene therapy, which is a part of cancer treatments. I'm told, way out on my spectrum, I'm told there is positive gene therapy for cancer. I'm told these things. I haven't actually read the data that says this is good shit. Everything I'm reading from all around the world, not good. The side effects are not good in healthy people doing things that it shouldn't. So, but talk to somebody you trust, talk to a medical professional, and ask them. Really, just open your ears up and just listen to the testimony of people that from 2021 and 2022 and 2023 that have loved ones that have crossed over. Many of them, most of them, young and healthy, gone. And they all have one thing in common, and that was boosters, right? Get your booster. Yeah, everybody gets a free booster. You got no Fauci. Fauci's got all the free boosters you ever need. We're going to boost you to the moon, baby. Boosters. Everybody. It's diabolical, if you ask me. But I'm not a medical professional. I'm just reading all the data. So we have RSV. RSV is, which attacks the children. It's so tragic that it tends to attack the youngsters. And then I'm reading from people from all over the country that says, I am sick and tired of being sick. What the hell is this? I'm sick. It's in my lungs. Now they're talking about a norovirus epidemic. Now they're talking about influenza mutations and bird flu mutations. None of this stuff happened prior 2021 before the direct mass program to inoculate everyone, no matter if you were healthy or sick or walking zombies. Fenty yoga, it didn't matter. It went straight into people's blood, right? And we're witnessing what is turning the immune system off, and then a viral virulence if it's just picking up massive steam because it is transmitting through touch and intimate contact. Now, I actually believe I never got any of the mRNA direct, but I had neighbors that came in and saw me, and I think they got me with the spike. Nothing more than just a hug and discussion, like a real light, God bless as they left. That was it. But in my mind, that's where. But it's hard to say because you got everyone that's sick and they're hitting the elevator keys. So we got elevator in the building. It's 100 tenants, two elevators that rarely ever work. It's a fucking nightmare, man. God, but. The point is just how are you getting in contact? Plus, they have a recirculating air system in this newer building. And it's supposed to be good for heating and cooling, but that also will take the viral loads. This is me. The management doesn't want to admit this. They don't want to admit that they killed several of my neighbors from this respiratory illnesses and disease and the direct ramifications of the boosters. Yeah, that's what I believe. How are you going to prove it, right? How are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that it was a booster and it didn't just come from the original OG from the bio lab? I can't prove any of that, but I do know that a number of my neighbors are gone and they were immune compromised. And they all got the juice, the boosters, the juicy boosters. So and then there was another time a family member came over. She didn't tell us that she had it. Probably didn't think about the transmission of it. She was juiced up for the holidays, and I was sick for weeks. And it's like a sickness that I've ever had before. It the inflammation in the joints. Now I have cartilage that's missing out of my left knee. It's like the patella is just gone. They tell me all of this is from like scanners and stuff. So it's like old man type of stuff. But I really shouldn't be experiencing that at 50. It should be more like mid 60s. But it could just be DNA. There is family issues. I've got two uncles that had fused backs in their 30s, not 50s. So the back issue and the degenerative disc diseases, that's definitely DNA and hereditary. But these type of episodes that I was having before 2020, and I was sick for months, just trying to blast through it. But and then it wiped out a whole bunch of people in my daughter's class and her teacher, and we knew that this was 2019 actually. We knew that they were calling it a really bad flu season right here in Portland. We knew there was something spreading before they even declared what it was. And it was brutal. So what I'm dealing with now is like this, it's residual. It's going on several weeks. I do feel much better, but it's like someone shellacked my lungs and it's more dry. It's not like the 2020 where it was just gooey green like slime. I've never blown my nose and had that kind of like. I hope you're not eating like a sandwich or something, because I'm gonna say it really gross. But just that whole, and it's just like green slime. I was like, it's kind of scary. You look at that and you're like, whoa, am I dying? It's like eating a can of beets and you forget, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh God, I'm dying. I gotta go to the doctor. It's like, no, dude, you forgot about eating beets. But it was that type of a kind of anxiety. That's not what this has been going on. This is more of a dry, and I wheeze. It's like, it reminds me of when I would have asthma attacks at like 10, because I would be up in the Rocky Mountains for 3 months backpacking, really thin, dry air, low oxygen, and then I would come back into Portland for late August, September, and it was rain, molds, monsoons. We're a temperate rainforest here, so it was all wet. So I would have my lungs would fill up, and for a couple of years it was pretty brutal. I just anticipated I'd have to go through that, and that was really bad. That's what 2020 reminded me of. Was back when I was a kid like that. And so this is different. It's lingering, but I had a couple of episodes in June and July where my knee had blown up and I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. And I felt like I was like paralyzed. And what does that sound like? That is the exact thing that I keep hearing from testimonies of people that have had multiple jabs and the boosters of the mRNA. Okay. So we know that they've been putting it in cows. They've been putting it in chickens. I'm a meat eater, right? And if that transmission of those lipid nanoparticles in this new application of memory RNA, mRNA, there's one that we all have, and then there's the synthetic, the M. There's two different M's on the RNA. I'm talking about synthesized. We're talking about shit that's made in a biolab. They clipped it all together and synthesized it. It's an experiment, gene therapy. So again, there's no need to pull the video. I'm not giving anyone any advice. I'm just telling you my insights from what I've encountered with it. But so anyway, I didn't need to make it a big personal testimony. I just wanted you to share. That was this summer. So now I'm putting it together. I'm looking at the data and I'm saying, wow. So we had in the U.S. this major spike in July, right during these episodes of where I couldn't walk, and I felt like I had to do like my therapy type of exercises to actually get myself moving, which took another couple of weeks. This was June and July. I'm not kidding. People are like, "What, dude?" I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, so and it would one foot, then it was move from knees. I had both knees. It was, and you couldn't see anything for a few days. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're making something up." And then all of a sudden, this red inflammation would like I'd been in a car accident. It would blow up after days. Really, really weird. It was like an autoimmune type of thing. And the reason I share that is I don't like to talk about ailments. I don't like even discussing it, but I want to share it and get it out there because this is going around. I know there's a lot of people that have been experiencing this and they haven't made videos and they haven't talked about it. And it's either one way or another. Again, I have never volunteered for these mRNA. I'm getting them. My body is reacting to it either through the food supplies or directly from people that, like I just told you, family member at the holidays, and another neighbor, an old neighbor. They're not even here anymore, but I think they're still alive. But I mean, I had a number of neighbors die. Okay, so I don't want to repeat myself. I just want to move on from that. Those type of things are happening right now. COVID never went away. It's been mutating like hell, like holy hell, and it's creating stronger variants, and it's still racing. It's turning people's immune systems off. So all of these different things that we should be able to just blast through are actually taking people out and putting them in the hospital. If this H3, if I didn't say when or it is, if the H3 in China is this avian bird flu that's apparently in several cities, provinces, there's studies there. If that's there, then it's here. And we have a major, we're a port, Seattle's a port town, Portland's a port town. Seattle's much bigger and more significant in the Chinese American community. And all the Vietnamese, all of that Asian community is much bigger in Seattle, but it is also in Portland and Los Angeles, the whole West Coast. So whatever's going on in China with H3 or now this HPMV, which is related to the RSV, it's a respiratory infection that China's now downplaying. And so what we should probably be doing to being proactive is get the therapeutics ready and loaded up. You need to have them on stock. It's not a time to panic. It's not a time to go into mandates. The masks aren't working unless you're sick and sneezing. Then it will block and you might save somebody's life. If you are sick, you shouldn't be out. But if you are and have to be, you could, that makes sense to mask up. But these people in cars, driving around alone in vehicles with a mask on by themselves, it's never stopped in Portland. Those masks aren't doing anything. It's clearly that the jabs, that's why it's insane for this Dr. Wynn to be making these circuits talking about everyone needs to get this mRNA. We got to get rid of these 5 million doses that are sitting around on the shelf of the flu, of an avian flu. And it's like, she's obviously just flat out hustling. I mean, she has to know better. She has to know that H3 is circulating. So whatever H1N5 type of variant they've got concocted up into this friggin' cocktail is not going to do anything for the H3. I mean, we've never given shots for the coronas because they mutate and it makes them more virulent and it doesn't work on getting inoculation with the coronas. This is the corona family. We're dealing with the corona spike protein that is something that is not going away ever. Ever. It's like an AI robot. It's not an AI robot. Some people do feel like there's robots in their blood. I'm not saying that. It's like an AI rogue AI robot that is now operating on its own iOS, and it's transmitting through intimate contact and through touch and air. Of course, there's always droplets in the air, but it also through touch. We know that. I'm repeating this just to hammer the point. We know that from their own research files. Pfizer said, don't do this. Pregnant women, pregnant partner, your partner is, I don't remember what the exact date. There was like a time frame, and I was like, a time frame? 2 weeks ain't gonna be good enough. You got that spike protein going for months and months. So there really, this is kind of a dark side here. There really is no pure bloods, and I know that I read the Patriots. They're so happy, and I'm happy that you didn't fall into the trap. There was just a small fraction of us of the population that never got any of that experimental sauce, and especially then the boosters and boosters. The boosters is where the payload is. I mean, if people are worried when they get kind of red pilled, like they're going to die, from the one shot. And it's like, I don't think you are. I don't think that's going to give you the turbo cancers or any of this. It's the boosters, and you keep boosting and boosting. I mean, some of these people are on their 10th booster right now, and Fauci and everyone else come out saying, get more, get them. Yeah, hey, it's on, get them, get your boosters, free boosters. We're going to boost you up real good on the juice. That's what they're saying. And it's like, how could they be that ignorant? It's really diabolical. If they know as little as I know, they should know more. They're in the business. That's diabolical to push that on people. It's not working. It's doing the opposite. And people's immune systems are being put to sleep, which is even worse. So that's the black flag. That's the darkness of it. But it had to be said that it's not, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm a dad that I'm up on my boosters. My daughter was before this. She had the MMR and that. She was current before 2020. Now I am so nervous about the mRNA. They've destroyed all trust with parents, that once they've studied the data and looked at the data of the adverse reactions, it's like, man, why would you do this? Why are you targeting children with RSV? Thankfully, to give it some credit, with the study that I briefly showed on the last video, I don't make very many videos. They're right there. They paused it. They stopped the RSV because of these signals, strong signals, which was children getting sick, and it was making things really nasty and bad. That's mRNA. Wasn't working. Thankfully, they posted that. But it's not being talked about. Mainstream media didn't talk about it. Nobody's picked up that stopped. And it's all quietly all gone out. Now we don't have the Oregon Health Authority saying, get your boosters, although they might be somewhere, and I just haven't missed it. Or that I missed it, but it shifted. It was like they were promoting, get the RSVs out and this and that. It's kind of a quiet shifting. And it's got to be intentional. And so what Brother Jones was talking about, check out his video tonight on the special. It's a special report. And the brother's devastated. I mean, you can see it. I mean, first he snaps and he starts yelling, and I don't blame him. I feel like snapping and yelling out loud. I think that's a human reaction. But then you can see, and he admits that he's just in shock. He goes, everything that I said, because he had premonition. He's not only that, like I was talking about with patterns, it's not just intuition. It's actually following the patterns is more important than using that intuition. But Brother Jones is, whether he's in denial about it still or not, he's very intuitive, and he knows he can see these things coming. I can too. I see a bad moon coming. This is exactly right on cue, as Jones points out, and he predicted months ago, they need something to sabotage this incoming Trump administration. And so we're seeing almost a replay of exact on 2020, on 2019. 2019, they were doing all this agenda Event 201, which was a simulation of a viral pandemic. And then, surprise, right? We planned for it and we told you it was coming, but surprise, here it is. It's like, wait, what? Holy crap. And I'm just stunned how many people are just not paying attention. But and I've definitely been following this stuff because I don't see it all as fear propaganda when people are sick. And when people are sick in the summer, that's a huge red flag. It just never happened like that. We never had widespread influenza type symptoms of like COVID this summer with this huge XCE spike, whatever brand it is, and it's mutating like wildfire. So I mean, we're going to get to a point if we stay on this trajectory that it's going to wipe out everybody like 50-60%, like we see with not Zika, but the other one that everyone they like to scare the shit out of everybody about. But this HOTES, that's the other thing that Jones talks about on the videos. He just like Fauci said in 2017, 2018. Well, Donnie, Trump's going to have to deal with a global pandemic. We're pretty sure about that one. HOTES, this Dr. HOTES, his little mini me, said exactly the same thing. Just like that. But it was bigger. He's rattled off a long list of things that were all coming right around the 20th of January, right in time for Donnie's transition of power. How about that? Huh? How about that? And just have listening skills. You don't even have to be psychic. You don't even need to be a gypsy palm reader, like I like to joke about, which they are a real thing, and God bless them. I don't have anything against them. I'm not trying to slam gypsy psychic palm readers because they're wonderful people. But, I'm serious. Serious. Okay? It's just a fun thing, but to talk about. That's all the reason I say that. And it's not anything ugly or mean, but it's just following the patterns and just listening, your listening skills. When they tell you exactly what's coming, they tell you exactly what they want to do. And we're obviously on a trajectory of depopulation and eugenics. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Sorry, not sorry. It's just harsh saying that, but it's the truth. Okay. So, you're a fear monger, and then listen, you call me whatever you want. I'm an honest person. I'm just speaking my mind on patterns and things that I see going on. And I think the last couple of videos I've made, in fact, even all the way back to Halloween, there was a Halloween alignment with, I'd have to look at it again, but Mars going direct was one. Mercury in with the moon was another. It's been there. The stars in the planet change has been there to prove whatever spidey sense and goosebumps and bad vibes, on your shoulder, that kind of a weird, creepy feeling. Maybe you don't get that. I get that around certain people, like even like in the public. It's like some people just give me a chill. It's like I can see some really dark energy as they get on the bus. And if you're aware and you're empath, intuitive, whatever the title, whatever it is you're jiving with, feeling good about talking about or identify with, you know what I'm talking about. And it's not just the slobbery, stinky people. You can feel people's vibes and energy. You can see the bad guys. They're real hard to hide when you're aware. So that's coming. It's not a time for panic. It's not a time for mandates. It's not a time to shut the economy down, which is what they want. If they can create the same type of hysteria and start shutting down liberal Democrat states and cities, like it appears Governor Newsom in California is already doing, if they can successfully do that, then they can shut that economy down and create those same type of supply chain shortages. The food's going to go up worse. The gasoline prices are going to go up double, triple instead of coming down because Trump knows how to. We've seen him do it in 2017 and 18 and even 19 before the crash because of the pandemic. We've seen him bring eggs down to $1.99 a dozen. They're now $15 to $20 a dozen right now with Bidenomics. That's a big deal to families that eat eggs every day. All right. Gasoline down to $1.99 a gallon. That directly benefits the poor working class. This is what these neoliberal morons can't understand. Is that when you come in with $100,000 EVs without the infrastructure to charge them, they're not even affordable to 90% of the population, and then you're going to eliminate the gas? What kind of retards are you people? Are you doing it on purpose? You can't be that stupid. You can't be that stupid. You don't do things like that. When the gas goes up, small businesses go broke, bankrupt, because you can't afford your delivery and your shipping and all the other costs that come with and need fuel. This is like business 101, small business 101, 6th grade, 8th grade level. At least it should be. They probably don't teach that in 6th or 8th grade, but it should be taught then. Whatever. You got my point. It's juvenile type of thinking that they're embracing. It's childlike and completely, it's retarded. I hate to use that word. If you're offended by it, I don't mean any. I'm not an ableist or anything. I'm just using it in the term of it's like real stupid fucking shit type. That's like retarded. But so the creativity you've got to produce to get through this stress. If they start locking some states down or they start doing some of this crazy shit, how we got through all of that as artists, we thrived because our studio is our workshop and our place of business and our refuge and safe place. And so as artists, we create art and that's how you're going to survive and deal with the stress. Again, for you that haven't bought a copy of Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, A Path to Higher Creativity, that's your first stepping stone. You get that book. And then there's other books that are totally different than her. But that gets through the artist block. It talks about what are the things that you used to like. It allows you to examine. And then even more importantly, it does morning pages, which connects you with the spirit world and that cosmic unconscious, because the dream state, which is going really big right now, the moon's going to be going into Pisces. Pisces is the psychic intuitive. Pisces people are always empathic. And maybe it's just because, I can sense it and I can feel them. And then we connect our minds like a Vulcan mind lock. It's like, it's like in a good way, not a bad way. But that sounded so funny. But, I got sidetracked. I got off on that Vulcan mind, the Pisces. And so what was the other one? The Pisces, Venus, the goddess of love. I'm a Taurus, love Venus. Venus went into Pisces. Venus was in Pisces. Why is that important? Because Pisces is on the 2nd. When Hanukkah ended, Thursday the 2nd, last Thursday was Venus into Pisces. So that's like, it's relationships. Venus is not just lovers, it family, friends, even business, office workers, people that you're connecting with. This is a time to really pick up on some extrasensory perception. If you're open to it and you like that or want to explore that or define your skills, your extrasensory perception skills, this is the peak time. And to write those things down, back to Julia Cameron, she says morning pages. It's hard for me. I did them in the evening. I think she even says in the book it's okay to do them in the evening, but the morning is when the dreams are the freshest. That's when the spirit world's going to be talking to you, is in the dreams. Okay? That's powerful. It's really powerful. So if you can jot those things down, you'll come back to those dreams and you'll go, whoa, boy. Wow, it was right there. Now I see what the red dress and the bouquet of flowers, I see what that dream was about now. So little things like that. I mean, you can also, psychologists do some really trippy dream analysis, like water's got its thing, and there's all these different type of patterns and themes and symbolism in dream analysis. It's kind of like astrology to me. It's like you can make just about anything out of anything, but it's the patterns, and it's applying it to you personally, because it was your fucking dream. It's your fucking dream journal. Are you with me? Come on now. So it's a personal encounter. So that we got the Pisces. It's also very emotional. So if you've been like sobbing and crying uncontrollable, it's okay. You're probably not insane. You probably don't have a borderline personality disorder with a mood disorder, or you might. I don't know. There's a lot of that going around, but I'm praying for you. I'm feeling good for you. I don't think you're at that level. It's normal to cry, especially with some of the emotional twisting psychological operations and turmoil and carnage that we have been subjected to on purpose, by the way. Always think about, who does this benefit? What is going on here? Right? It's like, what is it just all about some weird identity politics with the Middle East, and this guy's now all of a sudden, I'm with the soldiers. Really? Okay. Well, I mean, he was with the U.S. Army, but I'm talking about the other, not, but who's who? Who's the white hats? Who's the black hats there? You can't say Fort Bragg is white hats if all this black hat activity comes out of there. Can you? No, you can't. Not in my book. But anyway, I think I'll just wrap it up there. It says about an hour. I don't like to go longer than an hour. The last one was like, I couldn't stop talking. And my God, for the love of God, could you shut your bile once in a while? God bless. We'll jump on. I'm going to try to be more frequent, not so distant stranger. I'm right here for you. God bless. Peace out.